A very good day to you. Welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jedel Cabrera here for our usual political conversations that I do hope will build this country as we're progressing with this Ruto's administration. I'm here with Herman Manyora, political analyst, commentator, university don, jack of all trades, mwanabiashara pia.
No.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
How's life?
Mwanabiashara no.
Biashara hujafanya?
No. I've tried one or two small things, but I've not succeeded.
You told me you had this business where a cop was disturbing you, eh?
Well, that is kind of relationship issues. Yeah. I talk to people. I still talk to people who have issues. Marriage issues, issues in affairs. Advise young people. Yeah.
With this advice, though, I'm looking at the US Senator Chris Coons. I'm looking at Suluhu Hassan, Tanzanian President Obasanjo, who was here in the country. Why don't they get people from this country to mediate these talks? Why so much interest with outsiders coming and meddling with our issues? What's the case with that?
It's basically because, first, we don't appreciate the magnitude of the problem. Outsiders can see where we are heading. And you know, Kenya as a country is really important globally. Many big players, international big players, global players, would not be happy to see Kenya go down. They wouldn't mind any of these other African countries.
Why would you say that? What is Kenya to the international community?
Kenya is very strategic geopolitically. Yeah. For example, people who are interested in fighting, checking on and fighting Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, operating from Kenya gives them a vantage position to monitor what's happening in troubled places like Somalia. You know, because Somalia in its state, very fertile ground for not just Al-Shabaab, but for other fundamentalist groups. Sudan has been the same, through connivance of the government in the past. The Great Lakes region, the Horn of Africa region. You remember a few years back, piracy was a big problem, you know, and working from Kenya. Kenya is also home to military bases of these powerhouses, offers training opportunity to British troops. And when you talk of even the media in Africa, this is a hub for media.
Correspondents are all
here. Everybody is here. Moi was telling them, you are attacking Kenya and you are all in Nairobi. Why can you go to those other countries which you are calling? Why are you all in Nairobi? Yeah, they are all here. So Kenya is an important
You've said something
place.
Important. We do not understand the magnitude of where we are.
Yes.
What is this? Where are we now? Because Raila has ceased protest. They are in talks. I was looking at, is it Fred Okango saying Azimio didn't turn up for yesterday's meeting on time, you know, the technical team. Where are we now when it comes to stabilizing this country and these talks going on?
You talked about the interest of foreigners and the presence of those names you have provided. You see, there would appear to me to be the need for a stabilizing hand. Because I think both sides don't understand the magnitude of this problem. So we are almost nowhere, if you ask me. Left on our own, these talks will go nowhere. Which may be good for the country.
How so? Without talks, good?
It may be good. Yeah, if there are no talks because both sides are clever and not honest with each other, or one side thinks they are clever, and the talks don't produce anything, they don't go on or just drag on, there's nothing coming, it is good.
Why so?
It is equally good if Raila and Ruto enter a deal the way I've been suspecting. You remember my video?
Your dream.
My dream.
Yeah.
And I receive a lot of support and a lot of bashing in equal measures. They enter into a deal and the country seems to know that these talks are a mere smokescreen, PR exercise, because already Raila and Ruto have a deal. So those two, either they don't do anything, those talks don't produce anything, or Raila and Ruto enter into a deal, making the talks unnecessary, is good for the country.
Okay.
Why? And I want Ruto to be told, because as president he doesn't listen to small people like us. I want him to be told, and I want Raila to be told. The people of Kenya will take over that Bombas thing. It will morph into something they can't control.
If it's simply a smokescreen.
My advice to them, just like I advise Ruto, do this thing within 1, 2, 3 months. It will be too late. You see, there's nothing now Ruto can do to make Kenyans happy. Very little. Because things get to a point where the little you give doesn't register anywhere. Today I'm telling Raila and Ruto, if any of you think they are clever, stop being clever. Stop also imagining you can cut a deal to the exclusion of the people of this country. Both will produce results you may not like. The people of Kenya will take over these talks.
And once they take over, what's next?
When the people of Kenya take over, it will be good for the country, because we shall have come up with a national charter. We lack the courage when people go to Bombas. The country lacked the courage to seize the moment. And the people, I think, feared Moi so much. But Bombas should have turned itself into a constituent assembly and simply given the country a new charter. Look at how the Bombas Draft was then bastardized. After Kenyans have had lengthy discussions culminating in Bombas, delegates have looked at what Kenyans have said from across the country, and we've come up with what could be the closest to a national charter. We then again gave it to Wako to go to Kilifi and mess it. Then again it was rejected. Then again we didn't learn from that, from the Wako mess. Wako is my friend, he should not say I'm belittling, but he was just doing a job. It's called the Kilifi draft or the Wako draft, which bastardized the Bombas draft. Now, Kibaki lost in the referendum of 2005 with that draft. Zero draft, they was called. Then when when we now had the Nusumkata government, the National Accord government, Raila and Kibaki working together, put the country together, and we revived the Bombas draft. Now, instead of giving Kenya that charter, again we took it to Parliament for further bastardization. And the worst happened in Naivasha. When the MPs went to Naivasha. And what they produced was a complete opposite of what people had given in. Look, including the 47 non-viable counties.
Non-viable.
We had wanted a structure of government that reflected our experiences from 1963, where we thought, where we have reached, it's better to separate state and government. Let the president be head of state, but let there be a head of government. This country would have made tremendous strides. Instead, they killed that dream. So what I'm saying is, and I said on this show, Bombas is symbolic. Kenya, Azimio said Serena. Kimani Ichung'wah and his team said, no, we don't want to go and pay for tea. As if Bombas is free. Because this government. But the amount of money that will be spent there, you'll be shocked. They didn't know alikuwa anaingia kwa mdomo ya simba.
The people will go.
You see, when I was doing agriculture, I was told there's an animal I don't want to mention on the show. Muslims like me don't like mentioning it. If you wanted to go south, you push it north. Then it will resist. If you wanted to go south, you don't push it to south. You put it north. Then it will resist and go where you wanted it to go.
Okay.
So that's what Kimani Ichung'wah did.
What should be the outcome of these talks? Are we going back to the talks of BBI, coming up with the new constitution, relooking at the structure of government?
There are these things. They have said there are basic things they can discuss quickly and finish and agree among themselves. And the people of Kenya may be happy okay with them. Even if there are changes, they can come later. But for now, people will be okay. The country will be calm. We'll move forward. That's the first possible outcome, which for Ruto and Raila would be the best. They should forget about a deal between them. Let them work together with open hearts, open mind, nobody being clever than the other, no cards under the table. Then they will agree on things and everything will be okay. But if they don't, I am sure the foreigners are pushing for a sort of the Sumkata government.
Okay.
When you see these foreigners around, them they are thinking the only way you can get sustained peace here is if Raila work with Ruto.
Is this the only way to get sustained peace, as he's put it? Mutai Nguni was saying, look at the National Accord, 2007. There was also the issue of cost of living, but once after Nusu Mkate came in,
everything, they forgot Agenda 4, which was the main, to address the issues, the main causes.
Talk also about handshake.
Yes.
How high cost of living was also there, but after that,
yes, everything went down.
What about this time round?
You know, ultimately, and I've said this time and time and time, that what we need is a national charter. The Constitution of 2010 didn't give us a national charter. It was first more reactionary, reacting to the excesses of Moi and Kenyatta, one. Secondly, it was bastardized by, was it the 11th or whatever parliament?
Yes.
12th or whatever. Like in Ababu na Mwamba. They bastardized it at Naivasha. And finally, the architecture itself is weak. And then it is cutting over the main issues of the day. If you look at land, instead of facing the issue of land head on, biting the bullet and facing it, they scut it and throw it to parliament. Things like performing MPs, they throw it back to parliament. But more seriously, they never address the issue of the political question in this country.
What is the danger with that? If we have these talks again, they come and meet and they agree on some issues, and then we are back here in 2027.
They will be back unless and until we address the political question, which is what the handshake was about. And that's why I supported the handshake. I would have loved to support BBI. Indeed, I supported it a bit. I defended it a lot. But Raila and Uhuru arranged it wrongly. From the selection of the people. It is, you could see it was going nowhere. And I said as much many times. So you will be back here in 2027, 2032, if you are lucky. If you are not lucky, by that time the country will have burnt. There will be no country. Until you ask yourself the fundamental question, how have we got this thing wrong from independence? Our first step was wrong. We came together as Kenyans and formed a new nation, if you can call it a nation. People split hairs, but let's just call it a new country or a new nation called Kenya, independent for all of us. Where did it turn to belong to two people? You can try to push it under the carpet, but that will haunt you. And that is the political question. What is it we can do, demonstrated through our elections, to show that this country belongs to all of us? And any Kenyans, whether Pokomo, Dorobo, Turukana, Maasai, Kikuyu, Luo, Luya, Kamba, any Meru, they have an equal chance of being president of this country.
So that is the
and
question.
that we shall never have a situation where elections can be free and fair, but the transition, that final point where you hand over power, it never happens. If you don't address that question and believe you can live in a country where two communities in a sea soil arrangement, Kikuyu, Kalenjin, Kalenjin, Kikuyu, is not sustainable. And that is a big political question in this country. To make everybody feel they belong to this country and have an equal chance. You know, when I hear people saying it's the best, let the best man become president, I laugh. Then they are not traveled, they are not read. There are countries where big tribes have decided even we don't want to participate in elections. We control the education, We control the commerce. We control the economy. We are everything. Let other people.
But, you know,
Even down south here, people don't know before Magufuli.
but when you say that, I'm in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking about the opportunity the likes of Raila Odinga had in last year's election. You say they were disorganized, they did not plan themselves well. An outsider became president. Does this mean that it's not just about tribe? An outsider can become president, and if you play your cards well, you can also become president if Raila.
That's true. That's very true. But let me tell you something. Governor, is it Kimemia or somebody who said it on Sidon TV? Elections across the world, in many places of the world, are decided long before the voting. You may not like it, but elections are decided.
Oh, it was
I think he said 3 months.
Yeah.
The deep state, he said, may be deeper than you think. What he was saying, many people didn't get. At that time, I think he knew what was going on. He knew the understanding of Kenyans of deep state was Uhuru Kenyatta. But he was telling you Kenyans, you are wrong. It's deeper than Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta may be a stranger in the deep state. It is deep states where they exist in most places that determine who becomes president. And it's not the president is not the deep state. So, whereas it is true that the Raila campaign over the years has been not well organized, at least not structured, has lacked the seriousness you would expect of somebody going for a presidential election. And I've shared this with him many times, so I'm not saying anything new. I've told him, you see, you can't win the president unless you are serious. And there are indicators of whether somebody is serious or not. I'm not even saying you be as serious as Ruto, because Ruto was extremely serious. Yeah. Even if you are half as serious, if Raila needed to be just half as serious as Ruto, and he would be the president today. So, but even then, do not underrate and count out the role of the deep state.
In Ruto's win too?
Anybody's win. And those are the issues we must address when we as Kenyans sit down to have a national conversation. Let me give you a good example. Even America, they realized if they didn't configure their constitution well, it would be possible for a few states to gang up together and forever run America. And that is how people don't understand this thing of the Senate arrangement, the thing about the electoral college. People think, why can't people just vote? They saw if that was the way they were going, it was very easy. And they have their own history, their own past to deal with. And therefore, even in this country, Moi was the first person to address that issue of dominance by a few communities. He said, for you to be president, and they put it in law, in the old constitution, you must win by at least 25% in at least 5 of the former 8 regions or provinces. That was the first goal. What did the new constitution say? Half of the counties, at least 25 votes, which is borrowing from Moi. They now added something new. You must get over 50%. The concept of 50 plus 1. You see, so they are acutely aware that if we are not careful, this country can be dominated by 1 or 2 groups forever, which is not good for the country because it is not sustainable. You don't need to go far. You just visit Rwanda here and you know, that's not the direction you want to take.
Yeah.
What we need now is to say the Moi 25% wasn't good enough. The additional thinking that brought 50 plus 1 hasn't sorted out our problems. So the conversation then begins there in terms of the structure. And then there will be other things that come together. But if you don't do that, like you say, 27, we shall be here, doing the same. 32. And that will be the best. The worst is, come 2027 or 2032, there will be no country.
Bevan is telling me to wrap up. I guess we'll continue with these conversations when we start our other show, Understanding Politics. We used to talk about, understanding the intrigues of what is happening in the country. I guess we'll have to talk about that so that we can see.
And we are starting another show.
Yes.
With a guy called Alenga. We are starting an online TV, just right here on Nairobi Review, about the Pan-African dream, about Pan-Africanism. Look at what's happening in West Africa. We need to have a conversation about Africa now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is Africa poor the way we are? We have had the reasons. We have had the reasons why we are poor.
Yeah.
We have not come up with solutions. And in the absence of intellectual discussion that can have a conversation around the solutions for Africa, then we shall have coups like we're having. Imagine a coup in the 21st century.
Yep.
Where does that leave Africa?
Well, I need to have those conversations, intellectual conversations. By the way, it's Rakim's birthday, one of our camera.
Happy birthday to you, Rakim.
Happy birthday, Rakim. He has been with us for quite some time.
Yes.
Directing the camera people, and he's doing a very good job.
Thank you.
So as you're turning older, we wish you all the best. Sherehe on you, Rakim, not on us. Till we do talk again, thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.